Welcome to the mess that is my desk. Today I want to share with you something that I thought was really interesting, and I'm so glad I kind of approached this in this way. So I've been playing a lot with just making a mess, which is something I have mixed feelings about. I really love it, but then I kind of love the process, but then I get at some point quite frustrated because either I find myself with things like this that I, either don't really know what to do with them, or I lose interest, or it's just like not working for me. And so I've, like, my go-to process that I've really like crafted and found myself enjoying in watercolor is a lot simpler, and it actually doesn't require working in a lot of layers, and it usually means that I'm done with a painting in 1 or 2 sittings. So that to me became kind of the perfect compromise between enjoying the process and then also being happy with the results. But I also really love making a mess, and there are definitely things that attract me about working in layers and just having that freedom and working with a more forgiving medium where you can cover up things. And so I'm trying to kind of find my way through it, and I'm taking this really fun class that I mentioned in a previous video, which is about, it's called The Secret Garden by Amanda Evanston, I want to say. And yeah, so I'm like slowly going through it, and I'm really kind of picking up like gems here and there. The class is great, but I always aspire to kind of make things my own and learn what I want to learn, and then leave out what I don't feel is a good fit for me personally. And that can be a certain tool or a certain color combination. It can be a really small thing or a bigger thing. But I've learned this the hard way, that I really need to kind of trust myself and let things go if they're not working for me. So this is kind of one of the pieces that I would consider as, like, let's say almost done. And I've just like been playing around with these markers, and I really enjoy them. So I think it's definitely something I should just play around with. Anyway. Yeah, these are really fun. If you don't know this, these are the Molotow markers. They're made in Germany, and they come in tons of colors, and they're just really high quality markers. Markers, I feel, can be amazing or super annoying if they don't work properly. And these ones, I've had really good experience with them. So I started with a couple of colors just to see if I like them, and I just kind of keep growing my collection every time I go to the art store. Luckily, they have this brand. So anyway, so I was just like working, and a lot of my kind of challenges that I'm facing. So this one is pretty close to being finished. Maybe it's finished. And then this one, you can see it's very unclear what's going on here. Like, it wants to be a flower pot, but it can't be because there's just too much going on. And then I'm working on this one, is also in the very kind of early stages of, this will be a pot or vase, and then here will be flowers. But what I'm kind of working on, or the question that brought about the experimenting, is when I'm creating these layers, I want to do that in a way that makes the later stages easier. So the stages where I'm actually adding kind of the flowers or finding the flowers, I want to really have them kind of pop and have depth without having to add darker colors later in the process, because I find that is just harder to do. And so I was wondering, like, what would happen if I actually start my first layers with darker colors. Now, of course, one way to do that would be to just, like, you know, take a bunch of such papers or even larger ones and start each one of them with a darker color or make a combination. But I thought, knowing myself, that would kind of just get me really, really lost, and eventually I wouldn't come out the other side with a clear answer. So I decided to go about it in a different way, and I took a bunch of dark colors that I have. I took what I have. Obviously there are more out there, but kind of took the ones that I kind of like. Not all of them are my absolute favorites, but just to see which ones speak to me. Now, I want to say, this is, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, you know, I like this one, and then when I'll talk about it, I'll tell you that that one is not working for me. It's not because there's a right or wrong answer. It's because I like it or I don't like it. So it works for me or it doesn't. And here is where, you know, the beauty of all of this lies, that my taste and my style and my choice of colors is different from other artists. And for me, kind of a signature color story or color palette is one of the, it's probably for me personally the most important thing in my kind of artist arsenal. But I just find it to be one of those things that really, really help you create your signature style. It's not the only thing, there are many others, but that one to me is, you know, when I see a painting from Renoir and, like, I can see all his, you know, black, his use of black, or when I see Van Gogh and, like, his use of, like, yellows, and then Chagall with the blue. So it's just one of these things that I personally really am drawn to and appreciate. And so I wanted to see how I felt about it. So I'm going to go over the different things that I've tried, and I'll tell you what I think about it. And, you know, of course you can look, and you can also, obviously it's best to do these things yourself, but you can look and make a note to yourself, like, oh, this combination really speaks to me. So let's get started. I want to zoom in so we're less distracted by things. And some of these are kind of wild cards, and then some of these are just like colors that I really love, and I thought I would feel differently about them as backgrounds, and turns out that they really don't really work for the look that I'm wanting to get. So this I actually thought would be a winner. And you can see later I came with some greens, and then I came with some pinks and yellows, just to kind of see how the colors speak to each other and what I like, and if I like that combo. So this is Indigo from Lucas, the background, obviously. This is a blue that I really, really like. And you can see it's quite a clean, like a saturated blue. And I think this is what didn't work for me. I really like that color, but it doesn't work for me as a background for these kind of loose florals. And so, I mean, I should have probably added some lighter colors to here, but I didn't even want to, because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't really working with the greens. And I think my main issue with this color is that it's too saturated. It's like, it's too clean, it's too pure. And I think I like my background to be just slightly more muted, not necessarily, you know, black or gray, like fully neutral, but just a little bit more neutral. So of course, you know, if this is like the only kind of dark blue that you have, you can just add a little bit of orange to it, or gray or black, and tone it down. But I just wanted to see how I felt about colors that I have straight from the tube. So that was the experiment today. Now this one is interesting. This color here in the background, as you can see, this is called Shadow Green. It's from Holbein, and I like it. It's quite dark, but I think that really helps everything else kind of pop. And because it is a green, it's really, really suitable for florals. And so this is a contender. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe in the future it could be that I create like the first layer in a painting with just like a few of my favorite darks, so it wouldn't have to be everything just with one color. But this was a combo that really spoke to me. I thought all the other greens on top of it looked really nice. It just gave this a depth that I like and I feel like I can easily build on. So this was kind of successful. Now this one is interesting here. This is from Flash Paints, which you know I'm obsessed with, probably. These are like my favorite acrylics at the moment. They're not purely acrylic. Sorry if you hear my angry child, but these are technically, these are vinyl paint. So I guess the formulation is slightly different than acrylic paints, but you can use them the same way that you use acrylic paints, and from what I've tried, mostly they work really well with other brands like regular acrylic paint. What is wonderful about these is they have the most beautiful matte finish. Now there are other paints on the market that have a matte finish, acrylic paints. Usually they are marked like that. Regular acrylic paints that are not marked as matte paints will tend to have a satin or glossy finish. And that is usually not so much the trouble, but what is amazing about these, and I've spoken about this in other videos, is that they are just so beautiful for layering, and pencils layer on top of them like no other paint. So if you love working in layers with like pencils or even pastels, I highly recommend just trying this paint. You know, just get a nice color and see if you like the formulation, because I'm obsessed with them, and I kind of wish that all the colors that I loved came in this formula. So anyway, all that to say that this background color here is from this brand, and it's called Verdaccio or Verdaccio. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I learned Italian for a few months, 25 years ago, and I can't remember how they pronounce the double C. So this is the color, and you can see it's quite a dark. It's not as dark as the shadow green, but it's quite dark color. It's a green that is, as you can see, it's slightly muted. And I think it looks good. I think, you know, here the darker value just adds a little bit more depth to it. So I would consider maybe mixing these two, just because I love the finish of these Flash paints so much. So you can find them in tubes or in glass jars. I have to say the tubes are much, much easier to use, but these are, you know, cute glass jars. So yeah, this is this experiment, and I do like it, but it's not my favorite. So I might actually mix these two and kind of get the benefits of a little bit of this depth, but then the formula of this color. And here we have, this is from the same brand. The color is sepia brown. You can see it here. So this one is darker, but it doesn't really speak to me. The colors on top of it don't sync to me as much as they do with the other options, like as much as they do here or here. So this was actually a good discovery, because I was using this quite a bit and I'm not sure that I'm loving it. Or I'm pretty sure there are other colors that I prefer. Now here I wanted to see how I felt about using some kind of darker colors that could be used or that I use a lot in florals. So let's start with this one. This was kind of a wild card. The background here is one of my like most favorite colors that I'm really, really obsessed with. And this is Holbein Luminous Rose. The beautiful thing about it is it also dries to a matte finish. The rest of the the brand doesn't, but these luminous colors seem to have like more of a matte finish. You can see like the shadow green, it's from the same brand, and you can see it has a little bit, it's not completely matte, right? And then this one, when I tilt it, you don't get any sheen. So I was just wondering if I would enjoy this, because I love this color so much, if I would enjoy it as a background color. And I think it might work for me if I used it a little bit more strategically in the areas, the kind of center or areas that I'm going to add florals on top. But as like a background color, it's not great. And then this is actually a liquid color from Lucas. They have a liquid range. Lucas is a German brand, and in Austria, where I am, it is really, really widely available and very, very affordable. So whenever I find like a color that I like, it's really a winner for me because they're so easy to find. And in watercolor, as in acrylics, they are very, very economical. So this color is mauve, and yeah, I'm not amazed. So again, maybe I could use it kind of strategically in certain areas, but all in all, it's not singing to me like these ones do. So moving on to the next one. So I'm already kind of sensing a direction for me personally, which is that I'm really connecting more with kind of the blues and the greens as a background, as opposed to brown or, you know, pink purple. So this here is black, and I thought this was going to work better than it did, but it could be just this black. Maybe I could try something else. You can see I tried to add more layers. It just doesn't sink to me. So there is depth with this because it's so dark. So definitely that's kind of a note to myself that I should be comfortable using dark acrylic colors in the first layers of my paintings because I do like the result. But the black was not a great fit. And then here were the real winners, which I'm so surprised, and I'm so happy that I tried it. So this, I don't know why, I was just like, okay, let's try this. This is the base here. This is Prussian blue from Lucas. You can see it's quite a dark blue, but it's not as saturated as that indigo, right? Here you can see, this is the indigo. This is Prussian blue. And I just found, honestly, like if I hadn't tried it, I wouldn't have past, progressive, continuous, whatever. I wouldn't have known how much I love this. And I just love these. These are like my go-to colors, the colors that I love to use in florals, like these, you know, olivey greens and these minty turquoises, and of course my pinks and corals and yellows. And they all work so well on this background that I'm just so happy that I tried this strategy. And then this one was also, I'm not very surprised, but it was an interesting discovery. This one is, the background here is this color. This is from Studio Lascaux, I want to say. This is a Swiss brand, again, very available, widely available where I am in Austria, because Switzerland is very close. This one also has quite a matte finish to it. They have quite a few lines. This is their Studio Acrylics. It says it has a satin matte finish. And the color is Emerald Green Deep. And I think I have actually a color from Flash Paints that is similar to that. This one I think is quite similar. So maybe I should try this just because I like the finish so much more. But no, actually this one also behaves nicely with pencils. But yeah, this is also, I like this one. So I'm thinking kind of my favorite would be a combination of these two, Prussian blue, this emerald green deep, and then maybe a little bit of the Holbein shadow green, or even these. But I can definitely see a direction, and I already know that these options that I just showed you would work really well to create kind of depth. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, if you have a question to yourself with kind of what colors you should use or what would be the best, try to find a way, like build an experiment that would help you, that the answer would help you. So only make one variable, right? Because everything else here, I used the same. I used all the same colors on all of these. Started with some greens, and then I came in with the pinks and the yellows and the corals. So the only different thing here was the background color. And I'm like really surprised, and I'm very happy that I actually eliminated so many colors. Like I have no desire really to use these ones in those first layers. I have even the brown one, which I thought was a good choice, just doesn't speak to me. I just don't think the other colors sing as much. You know, when I compare like this, when I compare this with this just sings to me. And so the only variable here was the background, and this is a great way to answer a question. And I hope it will help you figure out things. So for example, if you wanted to figure out kind of what color leaves, like what kind of foliage would really sing to you in a painting, I would say start with the same background and pick the same colors for the florals, and then just experiment with different kinds of greens and see which ones speak to you. Like personally, I love a range of greens, but they certainly have to be like a certain type of green. So the ones that I really, really enjoy are the earthy olivey greens, and then the minty teals. And then I really don't like, I didn't mix here a lot of like, but you know, these kinds of greens that are just very, very generic, I feel, you know, like spring greens, grass greens, those kinds of greens don't really do anything for me. Like here also, like this type of green just does nothing for me. But here, you know, like these ones that are really, really minty, and then these ones that are very earthy, those make me super happy. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you soon in another video. Take care. Bye-bye.